Guys, today we are going to divide polynomials not just by a monomial, but by another binomial. Review, we do remember that when we divide by a monomial, all we got to do is split it up just like that, and we'll get three different quotients. But now, since we're dividing by a binomial, there's a couple different methods we could use. The first method is if we factor. For example, on the top, this could be split up into two linear expressions divided by w minus 5. If we factored w squared minus 7 plus 10, again, two numbers that add to get negative 7 but multiply to get 10, we get w minus 5 and w minus 2. What ends up happening is that the w minus 5's cancel, and you're just left with w minus 2. So that's really cool and fun when you can factor. You can also factor number 4 and factor 4h squared minus 7h minus 2 divided by h minus 2. So this could factor into two linear binomials. If you want to practice factoring with a leading coefficient not 1, try that out. Again, you're finding two numbers that add to get negative 7 but multiply to get negative 8, and then you're going to do that smash and split stuff, and then hopefully things will cross out when you're done with that. Let's look for another method. So when you cannot factor the top, there's two methods you can do: long division or synthetic division. Synthetic division is actually pretty easy. I don't mind it. Long division is a little tougher way. Synthetic division, what you do is you take your factor, which is your denominator. So this technically looks like this. You take your denominator and you basically do the opposite of it. So when I say opposite, I mean set it equal to 0, solve, so you get x to be negative 8. Take that number, put it on the outside. On the inside, you're going to kind of make an upside down division sign, just like that. And what number, the numbers you're going to put on the top here are the coefficients in order of your numerator. So in order, in descending order, we have 1, 3, and negative 43. Be careful. Sometimes there'll be gaps. For example, it might go 2, 1 constant. There might be, it goes straight to x squared and then to minus 43. And we'll talk about what you do when that happens. Let's go back to synthetic division. What you do is you drop the first number down. So you have your 1 here, and we're going to drop it down. Then it's just going to be multiply, add, over and over and over again. We're going to multiply 1 times negative 8, put that here. Then we add to get negative 5. Then we multiply whatever we get, negative 5 times negative 8, put that here. 40. Then we add to get negative 3. Again, we drop down the first number, multiply, add, multiply, add, and your last number that you have here, that's going to be your remainder. Here's how you write your final answer after you divide. You take the first number you had down here and you put 1 less degree than what you started with. So we started with a 2, so now we're going to have x, and then we have a minus 5, which is now your constant. So instead of a squared exponent of 1 and then constant, it's just going to be linear, then constant. The way you write your remainder is you add or subtract it on the end, and you divide it by whatever you had on the denominator. And this is your final answer. So x squared plus 3x minus 43 divided by x plus 8 gives us 1x minus 5 minus 3 over x plus 8. Let's do another example of synthetic before we get to long division. Number 7. So we're going to take the opposite here, put it on the outside, upside down division sign, and put all these coefficients, line them up in order. Then we drop down, and it's going to be multiply, add, add, multiply, 7 times negative 2, and then add, ending up with 5. Here's our remainder. And we write our final answer as 2n, again, 1 less degree than what we started with, minus 2. And then since this is positive, we're going to add on our final remainder. And the denominator is going to be the same denominator you had there. Let's go up to long division. But in long division, we take the denominator and we're going to put it on the outside. And we're going to set it up just like a normal division problem, writing the numerator on the inside. And we're basically just focusing on the beginning first terms. So we have x and then an x squared. Think about this. What do we need to multiply x to get it to be x squared? X. So we put that up top here to start. Then, just like normal long division problem, you multiply it times each of these. So x times x is x squared. X times 8 is 8x. Then we subtract. X squared minus x squared is nothing. 3x minus 8x is negative 5x. And then, you guessed it, yep, we bring down what we have left over. Now again, we focus just on the first terms. So what do we need x to turn it into a negative 5x? We need to multiply it by a negative 5. Then again, we multiply what we just put up here times both of these. Negative 5 times x is a negative 5x. Negative 5 times 8 is a negative 40. Then we subtract. These end up canceling. Then we have negative 43 minus negative 40, which is like adding 40, makes it a negative 3, and that is your remainder. So the way we write our final answer is x minus 5, and then we have a remainder of 3, but we write that as a fraction over the x plus 8. Let's do one more example of the long division before we end today's video. Let's take this y minus 2, and we're going to divide it into y cubed plus 5 y squared minus 7y plus 2. Again, we're looking at first terms. What do you have to take? What do you have to multiply y to make it into a y cubed? Y squared. Multiply that times each of these. So we're left with y cubed minus 2y squared. Subtract. Those cancel. And we're left here 5y squared minus negative 2y squared. It's just like adding. So we're left with 7y squared. Bring down the next term. Now let's look at the first term again. What do we have to multiply y to make it into 7y squared? You have to multiply it by a positive 7y. Do this multiplication again. 7y times y is 7y squared. 7y times negative 2, negative 14y. Do the subtraction here. Just cancel. So then we have negative 7y minus a negative 14y. It's just like adding. So we're left with a positive 7y. bring down the last term of a positive 2, and we have to go through this process one more time. What do we have to multiply y by to make it into a 7y? Multiplied by 7, positive 7. Do this multiplication again. So 7 times y, 7y. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. Subtract again, those cancel. And we're left with a remainder of 16, because 2 minus negative 14. The way we write a remainder again is 16 over the y minus 2. And there you have it. I know you guys have questions, so write them down, let me know, and have a great night.